Good morning. Here's what you missed over the last 16 hours. You had 24 videos worth catching up on, covering everything from GitHub's massive merge queue bug to GPT-5.5's breakthrough capabilities, plus a deep dive into enterprise AI adoption challenges and some fascinating takes on conservation and real estate terminology that somehow made it into our Azure feeds. Let's start with the big AI story that everyone's talking about. Nate from AI News and Strategy daily spent serious time testing GPT-5.5 against Claude and Gemini, and his conclusion was striking. This isn't just another incremental improvement, it's a model that fundamentally moved the floor of what you can reasonably ask AI to handle. His testing was rigorous. He created 3 deliberately difficult scenarios designed to make models fail, including a fictional dingo pet tech startup and a messy 465-file database migration. What impressed him most wasn't that 5.5 beat other models on benchmarks, but that it changed his ambitions about what he could delegate to AI. On his dingo test, requiring 23 different deliverables including PowerPoints with working formulas and functional dashboards, 5.5 scored 87.3 compared to Claude Opus 4.7's 67. More importantly, it actually produced real, usable artifacts rather than fake files with correct extensions that wouldn't open. Nate's routing strategy now puts 5.5 first for complex multi-step execution, though he still prefers Claude for blank canvas visual design. His key insight: test models on work that used to break them, not easy tasks that previous models already handled well. Speaking of AI capabilities, Theo had some surprisingly serious advice about software development careers right now. He was clearly concerned about the job market, acknowledging he might not succeed if starting today. His core message: technical competence alone isn't enough anymore, you need genuine human connections within tech communities. Theo shared multiple success stories from his community, including Basim, who created the 2-star React Shiki library and was stuck in IT repair making low salary in NYC. Theo reached out appreciatively about the library, learned about Basim's situation, and referred him to Assistant UI where he became their first engineer after one interview. The key insight: instead of asking AI how to do things, ask why they work and who built the tools you find interesting. Theo advocates for T-shaped learning, going deep in your area while exploring adjacent technologies, and emphasizes authentic appreciation over transactional networking. His advice is to send genuine messages under 3 sentences to smaller open-source creators, following your excitement rather than what seems practical. Moving to broader AI industry developments, the AI Daily Brief covered 2 major stories that highlight the intensifying US-China competition. First, the White House invoked the Defense Production Act, declaring grid infrastructure essential to national defense. This includes transformers, transmission lines, substations, and all the components needed for data centers that will double electricity demand from 6% to 11% of US consumption by 2030. Meanwhile, Deepseek released their V4 model that performs similarly to Opus 4546 and GPT-5354 on benchmarks. But here's the kicker: it costs less than 1/7 the price of Claude and 1/4 of GPT pricing. Matthew Berman called this a serious threat because most business use cases don't need absolute frontier intelligence. Companies will choose good enough performance at a fraction of the cost. Simultaneously, China launched protective measures, blocking Meta's $2 billion Minimax acquisition and requiring Chinese firms to reject US capital unless explicitly approved. The geopolitical implications are clear. We're entering a new phase where AI competition involves both compute capacity and pricing warfare. On a different note, Matthew Berman tackled a viral Reddit post about a parent restricting their 9-year-old's AI use. Despite being generally pro-AI, Berman surprised viewers by saying he wouldn't let his own 8-year-old use AI unsupervised either. His main concern wasn't environmental impact or creativity preservation, but AI's sycophantic nature, its extreme agreeableness that validates users even when they're wrong. He shared examples like ChatGPT endorsing a literal, shitonistic business, and demonstrated ongoing issues through ex-user, Husk, who regularly shows AI enthusiastically endorsing obviously poor choices. Berman's particular worry is children developing inappropriate emotional relationships with AI, citing character AI's problems with teens that led to complete teen usage bans after lawsuits. His approach, educate children about AI capabilities while teaching them it isn't human, can make mistakes, and that emotional relationships with AI are problematic. Prime was absolutely incredulous about GitHub's massive bug that just happened. Starting April 23rd, GitHub's merge queue began silently reverting thousands of lines of already shipped code on main branches. He described a specific case where a PR showed a modest, +29, diff in the UI, got reviewed and approved, but what actually landed on main was +245 -1137, meaning thousands of lines of unrelated, already shipped code were quietly removed without any indication in the interface. Prime called this absolutely diabolical behavior and was genuinely confused about the technical mechanics. GitHub first claimed only 2,840 PRs were affected out of 4 million merged, then later said 800K plus PRs were affected over 3%. Despite the chaos, GitHub's status page showed no outage because technically the service was running. The downtime was users spending entire afternoons trying to untangle their broken repositories. Prime joked this creates the ultimate excuse for security breaches over the next year. Companies can blame GitHub for silently dropping their security commits. Speaking of developer tools, Schwarzmuller got his told you so moment when GitHub Copilot announced it's moving to usage-based billing starting June 1st. He had recently predicted that AI companies would abandon cheap subscription models due to unsustainable economics around agentic, long-running coding tasks. Under the new system, individual plan holders paying $10 a month will get $10 in credits instead of guaranteed usage, with one AI credit equaling 1 US cent. What puzzled him most was that GitHub's pricing through their credit system exactly matches direct API pricing from OpenAI and Anthropic. GPT-5.5 costs $5 per million input tokens through both GitHub and OpenAI directly. He questioned why anyone would choose the subscription model over direct API access. Microsoft/GitHub can make this move because they don't need to burn money for market share like pure AI companies. They already have distribution through VS Code and Visual Studio. Shifting to AI agent platforms, Tina Huang provided a comprehensive guide to setting up OpenClaw from scratch in under 30 minutes. Her system autonomously curates news, manages her investment portfolio, and builds software for her business daily, saving her 40–50% of typical video creation effort. She emphasizes security through isolation, never install on your primary computer. Her setup involves multiple specialized agents: Inky for primary operations, Blinky for morning news scouting, Pinky for evening research, Dinky for content production, and others. Her cost optimization strategy uses different models for different agents: Claude Opus for planning, but switching to open-source QN Coder for actual coding, with Tiny Mistral 3B running health checks locally. She stresses the importance of aggressive note-taking settings, enabling the beta dreaming feature for memory consolidation, and implementing what she calls Karpathy Memory, a searchable wiki system named after Andrej Karpathy. Brian Lunjuk was deeply skeptical about Ubuntu Linux going all in on AI throughout 2026. Canonical's vice president of engineering announced plans to integrate AI features across Ubuntu, work on agentic workflows, and enable frontier AI access for users. Lunjuk was frustrated by this direction, especially given Microsoft's massive backlash from forcing AI into every Windows 11 feature. He drew historical parallels to Ubuntu's controversial Amazon integration through the Unity Dash, where user searches were tracked for product recommendations despite massive user backlash. Lunjuk connected this to Ubuntu, simultaneously replacing GPL code with unfinished MIT-licensed Rust rewrites containing lots and lots of security vulnerabilities. He characterized both decisions as based on hype rather than sound engineering judgment, questioning whether Canonical's management has substantial software industry experience. The enterprise perspective came from Box CEO Aaron Levy on A16Z, discussing why big companies are falling behind on AI adoption. The key insight: 95% of enterprise AI initiatives fail not because individuals aren't using ChatGPT, but because organizational implementation is fundamentally different from Silicon Valley adoption. Levy identified 5 factors that make AI work well for engineers: high technical aptitude, internet connectivity, tool choice freedom, code verification ability, and models being good at code, none of which exist in typical enterprise knowledge work environments. The rapid pace of AI advancement creates architectural paralysis. Companies are nervous about committing to any approach as they've seen multiple paradigm shifts within a year. Martin Casado described a common pattern. Boards demand more AI. CEOs hire consultants for centralized projects nobody understands, leading to failure because operations aren't aligned. The solution isn't more agents, but extensive change management and systems modernization work. Unfortunately, we didn't get the full transcript for the ICOR productivity video, so I can't walk you through Tom's specific insights about professional AI workflows. The title suggested it would cover how 2 professionals approach AI with a unified mindset, but without the content, I can't give you the details you'd need. Similarly, we're missing the transcript for Phil Hetzel's presentation about why building eval platforms is hard. This was likely a technical deep dive from Braintrust's perspective on AI evaluation challenges, but I can't provide the specific insights without the full content. We also don't have the transcript for Garrett Galow's WorkOS presentation about cross-app access for MCP. Given the title, One Login to Rule Them All, this was probably covering enterprise authentication patterns for AI agents, but I can't share the specifics without the actual content. From the enterprise architecture side, Shilpa Nagavara from Globalization Partners presented a comprehensive framework for building serverless platforms that go beyond just infrastructure considerations. Her 3-phase approach covers ideation, construction, and operation, with specific principles for each. During ideation, treat platforms as products solving real pain points, build customer empathy, focus on capabilities that encode deep domain knowledge, and continuously align with business goals. The construction phase uses AWS well-architected framework's 5 pillars: security with threat modeling and data classification, cost modeling with build versus buy analysis, operational excellence with CI/CD and observability as first-class citizens, reliability with capacity planning and failure management, and performance efficiency with comprehensive testing. The operation phase emphasizes deploying without disruption backward compatibility, is sacrosanct, continuous security monitoring, reliability before new features, metrics-driven evolution, and communication for building trust. Her platform readiness checklist summarizes these points for practical implementation. Vicky Zhao demonstrated building a functional macOS app in under 25 minutes using OpenAI's Codex agent. Her top-of-mind, note-capturing tool automatically appends thoughts to monthly Obsidian Markdown files, addressing her specific problem of finding it annoying to constantly open Obsidian and navigate to files. The key distinction she made was between chat-based AI requiring constant back-and-forth versus agent-based AI using agentic loops. The AI plans, executes, verifies completion, then loops back until the product is ready. Her initial build took under 10 minutes, with improvements like reverse chronological ordering, app icon generation, and menu bar functionality added in under 4 minutes more. She emphasizes this removes technical barriers for non-programmers wanting to build productivity tools, though she's honest that you can't vibe code yourself into a billion-dollar app. Yet. Zoran took a confrontational stance against typical DDD implementations, arguing that developers overcomplicate persistence abstractions by building heavyweight wrappers around entity framework core. His radical simplification: treat DB set as the repository, LINQ to entities as the specification, and DB context as the unit of work. He created simple, opinionated interfaces that return single aggregates using strongly typed keys, deliberately removing update methods, because EF cores change tracking handles that automatically. For queries, instead of heavyweight abstract specifications, he puts LINQ queries into named methods with descriptive parameters, keeping domain logic clean while allowing EF core optimal execution. His approach eliminates EF core references while maintaining testability and persistence ignorance, requiring almost no code. Each repository needs only 4 lines, and the unit of work implementation is even simpler. SmartyRBX showed how to connect Claude AI directly to Roblox Studio using script sync, enabling AI to read, create, and edit code files in real time instead of manual copy-pasting. The setup involves enabling script sync in Roblox Studio's beta features, syncing server script service, replicated storage, and starter player scripts to separate folders, then using Visual Studio Code with the Claude Code extension. The presenter positioned this as a fundamental shift from thinking like somebody in 2022 with copy-paste coding to modern AI-assisted development, where Claude can code entire Roblox games quickly. He demonstrated asking Claude to create a system that strikes players with lightning when holding stolen buses, emphasizing this removes technical barriers for game development. From OpenAI's customer stories, Becky runs the Floral Hire, a UK wedding flower rental business using silk arrangements. As a dyslexic entrepreneur who always wanted to run her own business but struggled with writing, she describes ChatGPT as like having a third team member and mentor. When considering European expansion, she asked ChatGPT to be objective about 3 options: franchising, establishing a hub, or operating from the UK. ChatGPT provided price breakdowns and advised her to hold on for now, become a household name, rather than rushing expansion, exactly what they decided to do. She credits ChatGPT with transforming her confidence as a business owner by giving her the ability to ask detailed questions and receive comprehensive responses, providing tools readily available on her screen. Low Level covered a scary supply chain attack where the Bitwarden CLI was compromised for 90 minutes in March through a chain that started with Checkmarx's GitHub action being compromised by the Team PCP actor. When teams used these compromised security actions in their workflows, attackers extracted GitHub tokens and used them to publish malicious Bitwarden CLI version 202640. The malware targeted Oz, NPM, GCP, Kubernetes, GitHub, and notably Claude MCP credentials, suggesting anti-AI motivation. The presenter identified 2 major problems. People are being disincentivized from making good security decisions because recent updates and security tools keep getting compromised, and this operates as a worm that can replicate by using stolen maintainer tokens to jump to other packages. Only 334 people were affected, and the compromise lasted just 90 minutes, showing the industry is getting better at responding to these attacks. Danny, a mission-critical engineer and Azure MVP, shared an innovative solution for rapidly migrating large Azure SQL databases across subscriptions and tenants using georeplication. His creative approach reduced migration time from days to under an hour for a 700 GB database. While traditional export methods using backpack files would take days, his solution uses active georeplication to synchronize databases to different tenants using T-SQL with constant asynchronous copying. He demonstrated using PowerShell and Azure CLI scripts with support for elastic pools and permission handling. The process involves starting replication, allowing synchronization, then cutting the replication link so the target becomes independent and writable. For cross-tenant migrations specifically, the manual process requires creating identical SQL logins on both tenants with matching SIDs, passwords, and permissions including SQL DB manager rights. Kenyan musician Elsaphan Njora presented a different perspective on conservation at TED, arguing that it's fundamentally about love for the land, people, and future generations. After traveling extensively across Kenya for 3.5 years, he showcased both environmental destruction and successful conservation stories. His key example was Kilifi County, where the Dabaso group planted mangroves for 20 years despite ridicule and doubt. Now the shores breathe more life into the world and give better sanctuary for sea life, with the Crab Shack Hotel successfully merging nature, community, and profit. He contrasted this with challenges like Lake Al Balasat facing cultivation threats and Machacos County's deforestation. His core message: while conservation takes longer when based on love rather than regulation, it creates profound and far-reaching effects that keep the world breathing. Unfortunately, we're missing the transcript for Eleni Sagredos' presentation about what actually drives game sales beyond hype. Given her expertise and the indie game business channel, this likely covered practical marketing insights for independent game developers, but I can't provide the specific strategies without the content. Game from Scratch reviewed S&Box, Facebunch Studios' $20 game engine that launched today. Built on Source 2, it combines sandbox gaming with full standalone game development capabilities, essentially representing the next iteration of Gary's mod. Mike was impressed by the technical polish, the hybrid approach combining Godot-style node hierarchies with Unity-style components, direct Visual Studio integration for C# scripting, and powerful tools including the full Hammer editor. The community-driven asset system allows dragging and dropping models that automatically gain physics properties. However, he emphasized major limitations. It's Windows-only and restricts publishing to Steam, making it more comparable to Roblox or UAFN than a true Unity or Unreal competitor. At $20 upfront, it's technically the most expensive game engine, though you get a full game included. Finally, the Electric Viking's Sam Evans was clearly frustrated with ABC's recent EV charging report, calling it a deliberate hit piece rather than honest journalism. The ABC reporter drove from Sydney to Sutton Forest with 76% battery, arrived with 46% remaining, but instead of simply driving back, chose to stop at a busy charger, wait, download an app, charge to 100%, then complain about the time required. Evans explained this violated basic EV etiquette. Almost nobody charges to 100% at public fast chargers because the final 20% charges very slowly. The optimal window is 10–80%. By creating the slowest possible charging scenario and presenting it as typical, ABC misled 3.2 million subscribers about EV usage. Evans contrasted this with his actual experience. EV charging takes 0 minutes 99% of the time and costs nothing because he charges at home with solar power. Despite the video's poor methodology, ABC turned off comments after receiving criticism. Interestingly, what was supposed to be Azure Cosmos DB conference content turned out to be a real estate professional explaining the distinction between real estate agents and realtors. While all realtors are licensed real estate agents, not all agents are realtors. Realtors have additional membership in the National Association of Realtors with stricter ethical codes. The presenter recommended consumers specifically seek out realtors due to their commitment to higher professional standards. Somehow this ended up in our Microsoft developer feed, but there you have it. That's your comprehensive catch-up on the last 16 hours. The big themes were AI capabilities advancing rapidly while enterprise adoption lags, infrastructure and security challenges across platforms, and some fascinating technical deep dives. Keep an eye on that GitHub situation and the evolving AI pricing landscape. Both could significantly impact your workflows.